All right, guys. Welcome. Welcome back, everyone. Also, welcome back, Stephie Smalls, to the show. She's back. We got her on a Wednesday here.
All right, guys.
Before we get into it,
guys.
welcome back.
Welcome.
We're going to
welcome
back,
Hold on a
Stephie
sec.
Smalls. Also, to the welcome show. back, She's Stephie back. Smalls We got to the show. her on a
We have all
Wednesday
sorts of
here.
stuff going on.
Her on a Wednesday here.
Before we get into it,
guys. Welcome back.
Welcome.
We're going to
welcome back,
everyone.
Hold on a
Stephie
sec.
Smalls.
Also,
Okay, I don't know what all that was. All right, we're good. Welcome back, guys. Tech difficulties. It's why it's 9:14 and we're just going live. Happy to have you, Stephie. You're laughing over there. I know it, but you know, before we get into the show, I just want to have a big shout out, of course, to our sponsor, Manscaped. You can go over to manscaped.com, type in the promo code JKB or DTR, and get 20% off and free shipping off your Manscaped order. Stephie, welcome back. How we doing?
Thank you. Gosh, it's been too long. Excited, pumped to chat it up with you. It's been a minute.
Likewise,
Definitely.
It has been a minute. I mean, we've stayed in contact, of course, but
but we haven't been able to hop on a stream together, which is needed.
Well, now
Finally,
we're here. So hope
Regency.
everyone's doing well on a Wednesday. How's it going? All right. So we don't have like a direction this show's gonna go. I didn't even know what to title this show. Okay, I put like NFL wins of. I didn't even know what you guys could tell me. Okay, the point is that there's a lot to talk about. And once we get rolling, it's hard for us to stop talking. So I'm sure that won't be an issue. So
we don't shut up.
So no, we don't. So let's start with your neck of the woods over there with the Giants. The Giants go out and get Adoree Jackson and Kenny Golladay. I'm feeling pretty good about this team. All of a sudden, this team is starting to make some noise. And I wasn't a huge fan of getting rid of Zeitler and keeping Solder. But it's like, I feel like people have forgotten, like, oh, yeah, by the way, you know that Saquon Barkley guy? Like, yeah, he'll be back. Like, like things are good.
And then Xavier McKinney that everyone forgot about that we drafted
like, oh, that
last
guy?
year. That guy. He's also coming back.
Exactly.
He'll actually be playing a full season. Dante Pettis that they got at the end.
Love
John
him.
Ross. I mean, like, they did pretty good for free agency, I have to say. They went in there, secured the crap out of the secondary. That could have been a better move. I mean, Golladay is fantastic, obviously, and that's awesome. But, like, to secure the secondary the way that they did like that is phenomenal.
No, I absolutely agree with you. And, I think when you look at what they already did last year, we talked about last time with this defense. I'm a big fan of this defense. So you go and you add Adoree Jackson, who to me, I felt like he's a little underrated. Now, you guys paid him accordingly. So I guess he's not really underrated to the Giants. They saw his value. But I saw people saying, oh, yeah, he'll get about like $5 million. I'm like, he's a 26-year-old corner that I believe he was like 6th in the league in like on the boundary, according to PFF. He was like 6th in the league in, what was it? Passer rating allowed. And then you have what he can do in special teams as a returner. And this might be some USC bias talking, but I mean, I've watched this guy for years and I know what he can bring to the table. And as much as I like what the Titans do, there's sometimes I have no idea what they're doing, and this is one of those instances where I just don't know what the hell they're doing. They let Desmond King go to the Texans for $3 million. They let they cut Adoree Jackson, and they cut Malcolm Butler. I don't really know what the Titans are doing, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think that also, too, it's like everyone can talk about how much money these players are getting, but they're so necessary. Like, you're paying for what you're getting, too. I mean, like, we're talking about you're completely securing a secondary. You're giving Patrick Graham another weapon after he built a defense that went from the 31st D to the 9th. That's not a small jump, right? So now you're giving them another weapon. You're having Xavier McKinney come back. I mean, they're probably going to try to add a little bit more. I personally don't think that they'll go edge rusher in the draft. I just don't see that being, because of the way that the offense is. I don't know that it makes it doesn't totally make sense when your offense is still in the state that it is. So I think that, but just alone, I mean, do you really need an edge rusher to take this from a 9D to a 5? Not really, right? Because I mean, they have enough there. It's just maybe you'll add a little bit more. You never know. The Giants love to find stuff. They just readjusted 2 more contracts, and I think that this defense is in a really, really good place. I mean, I was looking at the secondary today. I'm like, there's no way. This is crazy. It's phenomenal. So it's really exciting to see them really go in with a mission and get it done. And I think part of it too is culture, which you hear a lot with the Giants too, is like they want to play on the New York Giants. Since when has a player wanted to play on the New York Giants? It's literally been since OBJ was there. So I think I'm so excited. I mean, I don't want to get my hopes up either. And I think that, Kenny, it's so funny with the Giants, whenever they secure a player, it's very different than someone else securing a player. It's like all of a sudden that player is so irrelevant and they're injury prone, except for before you guys all wanted both of those players on your team because I watched you guys tweet it. So it's not like, this is like, you're totally switching the narrative. So Kenny Golladay gives Daniel Jones what he's good. He needs a weapon. He needs someone to throw the deep ball to that's going to catch the ball. And I think too, like John Ross, you can say whatever about his injuries. It's fine. I started looking into all these. Kenny Golladay, I'm not worried about at all. I even think his hip injury might have been a little bit more of not wanting to play. And I think that, John Ross is going to be this guy that comes in 1 touchdown, 0 to 2 touchdowns is all you're going to see from John Ross a game. Like he's going to be there to make a play and that's it. And he's off the field. Like he's not going to play a lot of snaps.
No, he doesn't have to.
He's going to produce. That's all he's there for.
Yeah, no, I'm happy for him because I mean, John Ross sat on the bench last year as a healthy scratch, and he kept saying, they're like, why are you not playing? Like, gee, I don't know. I'm healthy. Like, I'm ready to run down the field. I ran a 4.22. Like, just let me run straight down the field or like, let me play. And, I mean, don't get me wrong. The Bengals had good receivers, but I mean, what was AJ Green doing last year? You know what I mean? And then you have Auden Tate, and then they add T. Higgins, and of course, Tyler Boyd's phenomenal. So, they have a lot of, pieces there, but now he comes to the Giants, and, it's interesting because the Giants, they have Kenny Golladay, they have Sterling Shepard, they have Darius Slayton. He came on our show, and I can't even remember his name. That's so bad.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my God, his Twitter cracks me up. It's literally so funny.
So funny story about Darius Slayton. I was doing research for our interview, and Slayton, I just come across an interview that he's doing. I forget, like it was with like an SEC reporter, and he calls him a deep threat, and he's like, "Don't ever call me a deep threat." He's like that just makes it sound like you're basically saying I'm one dimensional. Don't call me a deep threat. And I was like.
Yeah,
it was
no
nuts.
problem.
Like he didn't care. He's just like, don't call me a deep threat. And like that moment where like the reporter's like, oh, so like, are you joking, or like is this serious? Like, what are we doing? It's just like, don't do it.
Please don't call me that. It's not how it works. So,
but
that's like when Sterling Shepard got pissed because he's like,
yeah.
No one's getting separation. Watch film. Like he got so pissed at the end of the season. But I think this gives, and what it does too is, whose value goes up is actually Ingram. So now what you're doing is you're bringing in Rudolph. That gives you, you're addressing the red zone that the Giants did not get into at all last season. So now you have a player that, again, I think what the nice part is you have a lot of pieces now. There's a lot of options and there's ways to get down the field. What the Giants failed to do last season was get down the field. So now you have those options. You can use Ingram for those short yard, like to gain some yards. And then you can also use Rudolph when you get down the field. He's very similar to Witten in the way that he plays. And I think that is exactly what Jason Garrett needs. He needs that crutch because obviously he has not gotten over Witten for whatever reason it is. So now you got your Witten, okay? It's going to be interesting to see how they really separate. And, Slayton, Shepard, and Ingram all play their best ball when they have a true wide receiver 1. And again, don't be surprised if the Giants go in there and they take a wide receiver in the first, second round. If they don't take one in the first round, they're going to take one in this. They're going to get another wide receiver in this. And it's such a deep class that even in the third round, there's going to be guys that can come in and play. It's just a different type of wide receiver class.
Yeah, and it's funny because the way this wide receiver group is setting up is it's almost like they're okay with like this rotation. When you have like they'd rather have 5 guys that they are relied on instead of having a team that you have like 2 top guys and then you have nothing behind them. Because I look at this and I think first off, I think Darius Slayton's underrated by the majority of the football community. I don't think people really know who he is unless you play fantasy football or watch Giants football. Kenny Galladay, I mean, everybody knows who Kenny Galladay is. I remember him coming out of, Northern Illinois thinking, this guy has a chance to be a stud and no one's talking about him. No idea why. And then he blew up. A shocker there.
Yeah, I mean, he kind of blew it at the combine, which is kind of part of the reason that I think his hype went down once he got there. And then, he goes to a team that's not that exciting. So I think that this gives this, what this is doing is it's setting up the foundation for everyone to succeed. And what the biggest problem is now with these movements, like even if they had to play tomorrow, the biggest issue is their O-line. So like besides for that, like they've really done a very good job. They're missing probably maybe another weapon on offense. They're missing an edge. But the O-line's got to get addressed. I think it's also the problem is people forget the Giants were the youngest team in the NFL last season, and the O-line was disgustingly young. They also had a center that was his first time playing center. He's never played that position before, which is horrific for a rookie who's now got a new OC, has like Saquon out, Shep is out, like he's hurt, and then Ingram is totally annihilating his entire confidence because he can't catch the damn ball and he's getting blamed for it. So it's crazy. You think about it, Ingram lost 35 points to their team. Slayton lost 11. Add that together, it's about maybe 2 games because everything was so damn close. So the Giants have no reason to be definitely in, like, I will be upset if they don't win. Like, if they do not win that, it's going to be upsetting. I know Washington's good, but it will be very upsetting because it's kind of like, they have everything now as long as everyone stays healthy.
Well, it just seems to me like right now it's a 2-horse race in the NFC East, and it was last year. And I look at last year, and don't get me wrong, Washington definitely intrigues me, and I like Ryan Fitzpatrick. But I look at the Giants, and I think they've improved more. Washington, of course, did go out and get my guy Will Jackson III, who I really love that pickup, and then Curtis Samuel. But I think the Giants did some things where, again, it's like you have to keep in mind, and you already know this, but like you're getting Saquon Barkley back again like this year, but you didn't have him really the majority of last year. So in a sense, it's like,
forget that.
Yeah,
it wasn't week 4, it wasn't week 5, it wasn't week 7.
It was week 2.
Yeah. I'm like in the beginning, like it was not. He did not play last season. He played
pretty much. No,
like so. I don't. And everyone's like in fantasy wise is like fading him, and I'm like, you guys are absolutely insane because now
I picked him number 1 overall.
Yeah, you signed Booker, so expensive. You look at Adrian Peterson, 2012 is when he got his ACL surgery. Saquon surgery is beautiful compared to that. It was so much less invasive. His MCL healed entirely on its own. There is no reason why someone like Saquon couldn't have a career high year, period.
I agree. And I mean, the biggest thing I think is like, can you catch the ball out of the backfield, as a running back? If I'm going to draft you number 1 in fantasy leagues, like you have to be able to catch the ball. And Saquon could do it all. He's the closest thing to, 2018, 2017 Todd Gurley. You know what I mean? So, that's what I'm looking for in a running back. Plus, he had the injury, but that was a pretty freak injury. I love how people are like, oh, he's injury prone. Like, he's not injury prone. That was a freak injury. Like, that was, he got put in such a horrible position with his leg. And
like your ankle doesn't connect to your knee like that. So like you can get high ankle sprain. And first of all, he came back in unbelievable timing. I mean, the guy was barely out and still everyone's like, yeah, well, did you see how his numbers are still good for his second year. I mean, like he still won so many accolades. Like, it's not like he played like shit. I mean, the dude came back and just balled out still. So I think he has that mentality. He's definitely, there's no reason for this guy to come back and have a he's going to be fine. And then you have Booker there. It seems like maybe they'll keep Gallman too. Maybe that's the plan. And then that way you make sure that you're splitting some targets. And now you have other weapons, when we talked about last time I was on, like you see on these teams, right? CMC is a great example. You can't rely on one player. They're going to get hurt. Like that's it. It's period. You can't have one person that you're sending the ball to because their body's going to not, they can't tolerate that. I mean, if they're getting they're the only one getting hit, the only one getting covered, like to expect them to be okay is not going to work.
Exactly. And I mean, we're talking about a position at running back, which first off, I have to say this because it's on my mind. I've seen it all week. Stop devaluing positions at will, for the love of Christ. I mean, it's insane. I mean, everyone's like, oh, well, who cares about running backs? Like, the Giants should just trade Saquon Barkley because running backs don't matter.
God, if I hear that one more time, I will lose my shit. Like, it drives me crazy. Why do you want to, like, someone explain to me why you want to get rid of Saquon Barkley? Please, someone tell me. But you want to keep Ingram. Like, come on. There's no reason to get rid of Saquon. Saquon is generational talent, okay? Just because... And people forget too. It's like once OBJ is gone, you lost a wide receiver 1. And then you know what happened? Everything went to shit because everyone got relied on for way too much. And because there's no true, this is a problem across the league too. You can't force like in a wide receiver 2 and a wide receiver 3 to be wide receiver 1s. You want to know why? Because they're literally not. Like, they're not wide receiver 1s. They don't have that. They're meant to, and Shepard, I mean, he came off an actually pretty good year considering. And, you give just a little bit more. You spread the field. There was really no spreading of the field. It was just curl routes and Ingram reverse. That's all you got out of Garrett all season long when Saquon was gone. So, you give them the weapons, you let this team really, and Ross, everyone's like fired up. This is giving Galladay and Ross a place to be. You get another young wide receiver that could definitely be a wide receiver 1, and you get Saquon back. And that's someone that Danny knows, like from the start, he knows. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm not going to get my hopes up yet, but I think that Joe Judge, should they do well, there's no reason for this guy not to win Coach of the Year because what he's done over there is phenomenal. I mean, you've taken a broken program and literally rebuilt it so far.
Yeah, I mean, we weren't following each other last year because, I mean, I didn't know who you were. You didn't know who I was. But I tweeted out that Joe Judge should win Coach of the Year. And everyone came at me like, Are you kidding me? What about Ron Rivera? And I'm like, I mean, Ron Rivera, yeah, sure, but this is his first year without Saquon Barkley, with like the wheels falling off, and yeah, he's keeping it together. He's going to Seattle, and he's beating Seattle in Seattle, which is considered like one of the hardest places to play, and he's beating him with Colt McCoy. like come
that's
on.
what you saw, and that's what you saw consistently with the Giants is they never lost, except for the 49ers game, they never lost by a lot of points. There was always something very wrong that would happen, whether Ingram dropped the ball, Danny played a really crappy game in Tampa, and then you see these little things that
they still
happen.
should beat Tampa. That was
we should
brutal.
be Tampa. I mean, like, there was plenty of games that were
you could have beat the Rams.
The first Eagles game, I was going to say it. I didn't want to say it, but like we should have won the Rams game. We should have won the Eagles game. All of those games, there's really no reason. And what people forget too is this team was also like riddled with injuries. It's not like they were healthy all season. So, I mean, Colt McCoy played for some of the games, and even the Ravens game, that was one of Danny's best games, and the team let him down. So I think that moving forward with the whole offseason, this is Danny's second year with the same offensive coordinator. He's getting used to the guys. They're getting him the weapons he needs, and there's really no reason that they shouldn't improve.
I agree with you, and I think, like I said, it's a 2-horse race. I know everyone's like, well, Dak Prescott's back. Okay, he was there last year in Dallas, and he was on pace to throw for over 6,000 yards, and you were still losing football games. Like, I mean, and I'm sorry, I don't look at this defense and think, oh yeah, they've gotten a lot better. I mean, they signed Keanu Neal and moved him to linebacker, give him the Super Bowl, like, I'm not quite there yet, and plus they're letting some guys go. Aldon Smith, who had a really good year, apparently they're not going to bring him back. So, I just think it's so quick for people to be like, oh, well, I mean, they were already so bad last year, so they have to be getting better. It's like, and then I look at, the Eagles, and I think the Eagles have a chance to be the worst team in football. So, I mean, I don't even think they're even in the discussion, to be honest with you. But like looking at that defense, you added Dory, you have Darnay Holmes, the guy. Let me tell you, Darnay Holmes blew up at the Senior Bowl, and he was he was a pest. He literally, no one could separate from him, very physical. And then you have Logan Ryan, Jabril Peppers, and James Bradbury, who, I mean, come on now. James Bradbury not
Needs
getting
more
re-signed in
respect.
Carolina, that was just like mind-boggling, because I'm pretty sure they kept Worley, the guy that got like, he got arrested for like beating the crap out of his car or something. Like, what happened with that? Like, it was,
I don't even remember. I just vaguely remember seeing that.
yeah, it was like, oh, okay, so that's happening. So yeah, I look at that and I'm like, the Giants look pretty darn good. They brought back Leonard Williams, who, here, I wouldn't have paid him that much money, but
No.
Leonard Williams is valuable for what they want to do, and I totally get it. Like, I get, like, and it's, I will say the same thing with Leonard Floyd. Two Leonards. Leonard Floyd, who also the Giants were in until the end.